Good morning, everyone. Happy February 25th, 2026. My name is Casey Layton. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Chief Culture and Impact Officer here at Clackamas Community College. Welcome to Excellence is a State of Mind, our Black Excellence event for the college here today. And with that, I'm going to have Dr. Cook read the land and labor acknowledgement.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, everyone, for attending today, either online or in the room today. It's really wonderful to have you. I'm looking forward to this panel discussion. Please join me for the CCC land and labor acknowledgements. We acknowledge that the Clackamas Community College campuses reside on the traditional homelands of the Clackamas, Cascades, and Tumwater bands of the Chinooks, as well as the Tualatin and Pudding River bands of Kalapuya and the Northern Molalla people. They lived and prospered by maintaining strong cultural ties to the land and through wise management of resources. As signers of the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855, they were removed from their homelands to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation, where they became members of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. Please join us in taking this opportunity to thank and honor the original caretakers of this land, their lives, and their descendants that live on as tribal members today, still carrying on the traditions and cultures of their ancestors. And now our labor acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the foundation and wealth of the United States was built upon the forced labor of enslaved African people, involuntary and trafficked indigenous labor, and the often exploited labor of immigrant, domestic, and farm workers. Their vital contributions and resilience, in spite of violence, terror tactics, and bloodshed, are integral to understanding our nation's past, present, and hope of what's to come. The prosperity many enjoy today is rooted in centuries of labor extracted under conditions of injustice, inequality, and ongoing systemic oppression. Acknowledging this truth is a step toward honoring those who are denied justice and toward creating a future that is more equitable, inclusive, and humane. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Cook. We thank you all for joining in with us for that. I want to give you all a little history about today's event. This is our 4th annual Black History Month event, and we are so excited. Dr. Cook and I were already looking at each other like we're doing it. We keep doing this, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. Really, the way in which we come to these events is I kind of sit with it. After each event, I kind of sit with what happened during last year's event and then think about what's next, what comes next. And I'd usually get an idea around September, and I gather some of my homies, and we get on a phone call or a Zoom call, and I talk to them about, I think this is what the community needs right now. Is this sounding about right? And they usually give a lot of feedback, and that's really great, and we shape it from there. And this really, every time I just get more and more excited about the types of conversations that we can have with one another. Really, we are creating history every day. And so this year, I kind of thought, what does everyday Black excellence look like? That was my first idea. And through that conversation, that I had with my friends, Dr. Tory Blackwell really mentioned he was thinking about the thought of excellence as a state of mind when we think about it every day. We really were talking about New York state of mind, but then we kind of blended that in, and that's kind of how these things develop. And so today we're going to hear from community voices about how they navigate stereotypes and overcome setbacks and embrace excellence with authenticity, resilience, and grace. Together, we'll examine the difference between striving for excellence and falling into perfection, and what it looks like to go through dealing with mistakes and managing those challenges. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator for today. Her name is Estelle Norris. She's going to give herself a more formal introduction. She's a dear friend, and I truly believe that she is the right woman today to lead this conversation. Thank you.
Thank Thank you all. It's so good to be here. Thank you, Casey and team, for inviting me. I feel like I'm at home with the team, and I'm just kind of expanding my family with the rest of you all. I want to start out by saying my name is Estelle Norris. I use she, her pronouns, and just a little bit about me identity-wise. I am a Black woman. I am a Black mom, a stepmom, wife. I am a Gammy. That we'll have to chat sometime to give you that story, because I know I don't look old enough. I am a sister and an auntie. And most of all, what I want to share in this space today is that I am a living, breathing example of Black excellence. Yeah. I am also I was like, I kind of want to give some street cred. I am a former Milwaukee resident. I started out on my own, living in Milwaukee, and started my family, got married. We lived in Milwaukee until we were displaced by an apartment fire, which was the only reason why I left. I absolutely loved our time just living off of McLaughlin. So this is kind of coming back home for me too. So I'm just honored and grateful to be here. We are going to have a good time today. I was reading over some of the messaging that had gone out, and one of the things that I read was that we are here to celebrate. So I do know that a lot of times when we talk about Black history, it can have kind of a mellow tone. It just feels sad. That's not what we're here to do today. There may be some trauma, some hardships in our stories, but I really want to highlight that part that we're celebrating. And so I am going to invite the panel to introduce themselves as well, and I'm so excited that I just get to facilitate this conversation, but really you're going to hear from them. We are all going to do our best to practice being our authentic selves and just let you all kind of listen in on a conversation, but we're going to try to tune that out a little bit so it feels natural. And I threw a bombshell on the panel, and you know, that's how I do, and they are happily grabbing hold of it, and we're making it work. So as they introduce themselves, again, in the spirit of this being a celebration, I also asked them just today if they would throw in what is their anthem, or like what's a song that gets you in an excellent state of mind. Feel free to jot notes down. Some of them you might know, some you might not. You might want to go add them to your playlist later. Mine is going to be Mary Mary's Go Get It, and that is definitely, when I put that song on, I'm like, yes, girl, you got this. You could do all the hard things. And so I am going to turn it over to Jay, and we're just going to go down the row here.
All right, thank you. My name is Jay Jones. I use he, him pronouns. I serve as the president and CEO of the North Clackamas Chamber of Commerce. I'm deeply connected to Clackamas County through my leadership role, through partnerships with local governments and nonprofits, and through service boards, including the YMCA of Columbia-Willamette, Children's Center, and Friends of the Children. For me, being here today isn't just professional, it's personal. Clackamas County is where I help build ecosystems of opportunity. So having a conversation about Black excellence here matters. I'm glad to be a homie, so we can share our voice. In regard to what song or anthem, as a CEO of a chamber, you know, it's all about mission, vision, values. And so when she said that, I was like, that's not my favorite. But just to go along, I thought about it. I said, I'll pick All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled.
Yes.
My name is Cha Dre Boyd. Cha like Cha-Cha, Dre like Andre. I have been a member of this community for about 22 years. Moved here from Colorado, grew up in an all-Black neighborhood, and transitioned to being the only Black kid in all of my classes. So that was a lot to adjust to. But throughout my time of being in this community, I came across a few other Black students, and we were able to make our own little niche in community. And so over the years, as an adult, being in the community still, I'm a father of 4, I'm a husband, and I am also a brother. I give my time back to the community by coaching track and field over at Milwaukee High School, and I also run a nonprofit youth leadership program at the high school as well. When it comes to my song/anthem, too much good music to choose from. I got two that I like to go to, either Prince for Purple Rain or else Chris Brown, Lucky Me.
Right.
Are you done?
Yes, ma'am. Here I go again.
I had to get it closer to my voice. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon. I'm Joe Crenshaw, and I have been in Clackamas County for the last 40 years. I am a community-minded person. I ran businesses in Clackamas County. I am on the school board right now. I come to you from Chicago, Illinois, by way of San Francisco, California. And I have always been the only one. And this is absolutely a joy for me today to see that there are others who look like me. And my thought for today is to get something from this so that I can take it back to the community to let them know that we are all in this together. And this is no reason for us to not have a load of us in this room. You asked me about my favorite song. Well, I love Lionel Richie.
Yes.
And the first one that I like is We Are the World, and we are the world here. The other one is All Night Long, and I'm telling you, that's a bopping song that you can really dance on. So we're going to have a fun time today. You're going to learn something about us that you don't know about us, and we're going to learn something about you. And be open, because this is us. And as you said, I'm a homie too, but I'm the female homie. So. Thank you.
Wow, it's hard to follow up on that. But my name's Alana Washington. I'm 19. I'm a student athlete at Clackamas Community College, the Oregon City campus. And I play basketball. I've been playing basketball since I can really remember. So yeah, I'm just honored to be here. I transferred here, or I'm from Washington, and then this is my second year of college, but my first year I went to Arizona Christian University, transferred from there, now I'm here, and I love the basketball team, and I love the community, so I'm just really honored to be here. And my favorite song, I guess, or my anthem, I guess you would say, is Holy Forever by CCC Winans. Yes. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Mae Washington. I'm her twin sister, if you can't tell that. But, yeah, I just thought I would mention that. Kind of the same journey as her, at least on the outside. Like, I transferred here, again, from Arizona Christian University. I'm also 19. I also lived in Washington. So pretty much the same for that. Yeah, I love being here as well. I love the basketball. I've definitely felt welcomed and supported by the community, by my coaches and my team, and even the teachers at the school when I go in-person school. But so yeah, my anthem I would say is Set Free by Red Tips. Probably never gonna hear that, but you can look it up if you want. Yeah.
I was going to joke that when Elena and May were talking, like, if you're online, don't adjust your screen. It really is too.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really is too.
Thank you all so much. So I just wanted to kick us off by, I love to Google, like, what does Google think about certain terms or words? And it's always a great starting place. But I want to validate that what Google said, my 17-year-old, without knowing what Google said, kind of spit some of the same things to me. So I was like, oh, look at that, you're writing for Google. So I asked Google, what is Black excellence? And I just wanted to share some of the things. It's a celebration of, Google says high-level achievement, and we're going to use that loosely, but high-level achievement, success, and resilience within the Black community. It highlights individuals who thrive in a variety of fields, and I just want to say in this space, not just sports and entertainment. It is the state of thriving that often comes with overcoming systemic barriers, racism, oppression, and all forms of discrimination. And at its core, it serves as a powerful counter-narrative to negative stereotypes while also fostering community pride and honoring our legacy of brilliance. So I just wanted to bring that into the space, and then I want to move over to Jay to kind of kick off this Black excellence conversation by starting out with, how do you define excellence, and what does excellence mean to you?
Okay. Excellence, to me, it's about not being perfect. It's not perfection. It's alignment. It's when preparation meets your character, meets your values, and your execution. They all line up, and they create consistency. Excellence is discipline, commitment to grow, even when no one's applauding or watching or rewarding you. In my career, whether leading operations at Amazon, directing divisions at Cougar, or now serving as the CEO for the North Clackamas Chamber, excellence has meant doing the hard work for optimizing systems, strengthening teams, and making decisions that may not be popular, but are principled. Excellence is sustainable performance that's rooted in integrity. It's also deeply personal. As a Black man in executive leadership position, excellence means showing up fully, not shrinking, not code switching away my authenticity, but also not allowing external expectations to define my internal standards. Excellence is not about proving stereotypes wrong. It's about proving myself right. It's daily discipline, it's humility, it's resilience, and most importantly, it's progress over perfection. That's what it means to me.
Awesome.
Oh, that's hard to go off of. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's not being about being perfect. It's definitely a progression, a journey. For me, excellence means working hard at whatever you're doing, trying your best in whatever you do. I mean, that's kind of cliche, but it's really true. I think, and personally, with basketball in school, I try my best to put my best effort forward, no matter if it's 20% that day or if it's 110% that day. I really do try, and I think it's hard for me to talk about this without bringing up my faith in Jesus, because that's my motivation, I would say, to be excellent, because he was perfect. So I mean, I'm never gonna be that, but it's motivating for me to look at that as an example. So yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I just want to say back a couple of those. I love that progress over perfection. And I want to share in the faith part of that. I think our spirituality is such a huge part of who we are, transcending spiritual religious beliefs, but just that internal part of us that kind of keeps us going when we have to get through those hard times, the challenges. It's that internal work that pushes us to keep moving forward. So just wanted to call both of those out. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where, Jay, would you say your understanding of Black excellence came from?
So my understanding of Black excellence, it's shaped a long time ago. I was adopted. I was supposed to be intellectually disabled, never walk, never talk, had club feet, and I was in an orphanage for special needs youth. And so my mom was a school teacher at Roosevelt High School. She adopted this kid with lots of challenges. And I learned, that a stigma, that doesn't have to identify me. And so, we went through crutches and braces and speech therapy, and then I started wrestling to learn how to walk. And so for me, it started just seeing my mom single mom with 6 kids, doing the hard stuff every day. And she wasn't perfect, right? But she was consistent. And so when I looked, education-wise, it helped me make sure that I had to study. And if I wanted, to go to college, I had to do well in wrestling, I had to do well in school, because we didn't have the funds to send me to college. And so in the grown-up world, I learned how to compete. I learned, how to show up and balance trust and trustworthiness. I learned not to make excuses, and that it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes, but constant improvement allows you to be excellent. And I also learned that it's important, especially for me, to be pouring into other people. And so it's one thing for me just to worry about Jay. It's another thing for me to prop up our community that we stay in. And so I think I learned it from my mom. I learned it from my wrestling coach. I learned it from folks around, because if I'm pouring into someone and other people are pouring into me, that's when we start, raising up the community. So I think that's pretty much, that's where I saw the model.
I love it, and so much relatability for me growing up with a single mom, feeling like she was always so strong, and then kind of finding some of those quieter moments where she didn't have it all together and could let that come through. But also I was just thinking, in the Black community, especially in the church community, we have a saying that you don't look like what you've been through. And it's so powerful just to hear all of the things that got you on your start, not necessarily that you had to overcome, but what was the path starting out to see where you are today. So appreciate that. And I also just want to say I'm loving the multi-generational panel here. That the wisdom and insights that we're going to share, I think, is also where we're going to learn some of what Black excellence looks like. So I appreciate you. And I'm going to ask Elena, will you share with us where you learned about Black excellence?
Well, yeah, I guess I can, of course. Honestly, it is really, I'm just going to be honest, it's really hard for me to look at it from that type of perspective, because my mom and dad have done such a great job. They've always kind of been there to protect me from that environment of hostility from, what a lot of people of color face. And I've been super blessed to be in a community that has always kind of supported me in whatever I've done, and whether that's on the court, obviously in basketball, or just me going to a school where, it is like that in Washington for sure. I'm one of the only mixed people at school, and let alone colored person. So there has been times where I've kind of, been in that situation where it's oh wow, really am the only one with a little hint of color here. So, but I think my dad has really demonstrated that type of resilience. He's worked at the same place for 40 years, and he's faced a lot of adversity, especially surrounding his race, which is for me, even hearing that, it's wow, it actually does happen. That actually does happen. And even though I haven't experienced it face to face, I know there will be a time probably where that comes. So just looking to my dad, how he hasn't let, what Jay said, hasn't let what people say kind of find his identity in what people say. And of course, coming from a family of faith, he's always found his identity in Christ. So I really look to that for my inspiration in that, and where Black excellence comes from, because letting what people say, and this is gonna sound cliche, but actually letting what people say define you is really a slippery slope, because the world really wants to just point fingers at things you're not good at, and always try to push you to be you've got to be better at this, you got to achieve this, you got to do this. And I think finding contentment in where you're at is not a bad thing at all. And because you can always find something you can be thankful for in that. So my dad's really good at that, and I hope I can be like that one day. So yeah, I'd say that.
I love that, and I think to have already figured out at 19 that you can't let people define you is awesome. I will say, as a biracial Black woman myself, it took some time to get to that place of it's okay to just be me. I had wonderful managers and leaders in my life that cultivated that and helped that come out. But sometimes looking at my strong Black mom and being biracial is like, I don't know if I show up in that same way. So the lessons that you all, again, are sharing with us are ones I wish I would have learned a little bit earlier. But it's great that you're already on that path. Awesome.
And I don't know everything, but
You don't,
obviously.
not knowing
Like,
everything, as you
at
said,
all,
not the
yeah.
perfectionism,
Yes.
but just to even have that in your mind, like I'm not going to allow that to be the thing that defines me. You get to set your own course. I
Yes.
love it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know which order y'all prepared in, but I'm gonna go to May to just talk about who are you currently looking to for excellence?
Yeah. I would say my dad as well. I mean, just like what she was saying, obviously we share the same dad, so just what she was saying, like he's faced some adversity with his work and like within his community, I guess, at work. And that's just been kind of sad to look at, but hasn't let that stop him do what he's doing. Like, he's worked there for 40 years plus, and he's moved up in ranks and all that. I mean, not that that really is what he's going for, but, I mean, it just shows that his perseverance, he didn't let that stop him. And then, like I said before, probably I obviously look to Jesus in my faith, like he's the definition of excellence, perfection. Not that I'm going to be perfect, but he is obviously who I look for to an example. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what I had written down, but I haven't personally faced much like racial adversity, but I mean, I'm sure that's to come. I don't want to expect it, but like if it happens, I mean, it is what it is. Like she was saying, I can't let my identity be formed by what other people think of me. So, yeah. And that's just with everything, not just like my identity personally, like how I think about myself, but just with like basketball, just with school, all that, like a grade, whatever it is, a bad performance on the court, like it doesn't define me as a whole player. So, yeah.
Awesome, appreciate that. Chaudhry, what about you?
Yeah, I would say as far as who do I look, before I even start saying who I look up to for excellence, I love the fact that you're actually, willing to put your faith out there and say, I look up to Jesus, because a lot of times we hide behind what it is that we actually look forward to or who we look up to, because we don't want to be reprimanded or we're embarrassed about it. So thank you for sharing that. I also put Jesus on that, not pedestal, but in the forefront, and then down here on this planet called Earth, as far as who I look up to. Not to call nobody old, but like some of my peers, my elders. There's a guy named Austin Layton, shout out him. Gosh. I look up to them for examples of excellence because I see the stuff that you would normally see on TV, such as the show Family Matters, the Black family, they have their friends come over, all their kids are there. That's not what I grew up with. I grew up with a mom and an abusive stepdad. And then I met Austin and his family, and I see how he's raising these two boys. I got the chance to coach them in basketball. I see how he's making sure that there's a roof over their head, he's putting food on the table, and those are some of the things that I've never told them this over the years, but they kind of help mold me into who I am today. Like I said, I'm a father of 4, and so when you're a father, it's a big responsibility. Nobody taught me how to be a father, how to be responsible, but I've seen it in action. And so if I can take those kind of notes from my peers, the old heads, if you would, that's my current example of excellence that kind of gives me that drive to be a better version for my kids that I didn't get while growing up.
That's awesome, Chaudhry, thank you. And I think it leads into kind of the next part that we're going to talk about, and I will share a little bit for me in thinking of how do you sustain excellence on a daily basis. Anything that you are going to do long-term, it's going to take work. It's an everyday practice. It's not something that, even though some things come easier to us, it's practice, it's work, it's commitment. And so thinking of your story there, and also the faith part of it, and our beautiful twins sharing your experiences, I think one of the things that comes up for me in how do we sustain that, in the Black world, as a Black person, there's already a different level of pressure. I won't say more or less, but I'll say there's definitely a different level of pressure to be excellent, to be great, to be perfect, to be all of these things. And I think as we add in different elements, such as being a parent, that intensifies for us. And one of the thoughts that was coming to me as you all were speaking is you don't always know who's watching you. And I don't mean that we do deal sometimes with like people are watching you. I don't mean that. But who's looking up to you? Who's emulating the things that you are presenting that you're like, I was just doing life. I wasn't even trying to be a role model or an example. And it's some of the things that I constantly think about having 3 children relatively at home, but wanting to exemplify excellence in a way that allows them to be their individual selves. And so if I could show that, hopefully that empowers them to do the same. But I am constantly thinking about what example am I setting? I messed that one up. Are they going to hold that against me for the rest of our lives? I hope not. And so I think it is challenging at times to try to hold that standard of excellence all the time. And so I think one of the parts I love about this conversation is just that we're bringing it down, that the excellence, it is every day. It is that was really hard, and I'm going to come back and try it again. I said something, and I didn't mean for it to come out quite as harshly as it did when I was correcting that thing. So I'm going to apologize, and we're going to move forward. So those are like the daily things that come up for me. But I told Miss Jo when we met, I don't know, she just has a very familiar face. I feel like I've known her forever. I'm already enamored. But I would love to hear from you about how do you sustain excellence on a daily basis, and maybe what makes that challenging as well.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that I'm listening to all of you, and there's a commonality here. It starts with the parents, then it's church, then it's the community, because that's the way I was raised. Now, I come from a large family, and I'm probably the number 2 on the bottom end of the totem pole. My dad and my mother were married forever, it seems. But my mother died early, and I was a young girl. So my dad raised the family, and we were at church every Sunday morning, 7 o'clock for Sunday school. We were there all day. And when we left church, we were fed at somebody's house along the way. And when I say that, how do we sustain that? That's what I do with my kids. I had 2 boys. I didn't have 10 in the family. So we opened up the house, and the kids would come through and eat. They would stop and they would play their games. And they would talk about different things that all of us had in commonality. You know, I didn't know anything at all about moving ahead except what I learned from each other. And being a young girl with not a mother in the background, I just talked to myself and said, this is what I want to do. I would stand out, and we were living on a farm at the time, and I'd look up at the sky and say, that airplane was going over. I'm going to be going where you are going in my life. And that's what I did. I started my career as an airline person, 12 years. Flew all over the country, all over the world. I never thought I'd do that. But it was the community and the people around me that helped to support that. And I think that as a young person, a young Black person, is that we just have to understand that the world is not going to be kind to you all the time. But as I said, we are the world. We are part of this whole world. And what we have to do is continue through this life. And Casey, I don't know how you did it, but you got the generations here. You got the babies down on the end, the old person in the middle. But I just think, I just think that we learn from each other, and that's the way we're going to sustain ourselves. We are all a part of this world, and I'm so happy. Without faith in each other, that's how we're going to move this forward. And without faith in ourselves, that's how we're going to maintain where we are. And for all of the people in this room, you are our family. We are your family. And we will continue to watch out for each other, no matter where we are. And it might not be the same person, but you'll be walking outside one day, you look around, somebody's looking, and where am I going? Stop for a moment and say, hey, where do you want to go? Let me show you. And you will pick up a friend, just like that. And I've done it. And I don't mind talking. I don't care if you don't like me. What the heck? But I love what I am and what I have become. And I want to continue to try to move that along in the young people that I meet. And that's how we're going to sustain that. It's challenging. Every day we get up in the morning time, we look in the mirror and say, oh, what other BS is there out there? And you just continue to move yourself forward and say, I'm going to take that just like I took the one when I was a young kid and the teacher told me I didn't know what I was talking about. And I got my A in class and I took that card back there and said, I know what I'm talking about. I was just a kid. But you have to learn to speak up for yourselves and be who you think you are. And once you think it, you can do it. And you will do it.
So beautiful. I think when I was growing up, one of the things that I appreciated was being around the elders and hearing the stories. It didn't always connect at the time. I was like, oh my God. Especially my grandmother who had Alzheimer's and would tell the same one over and over again and didn't know. But now it's like, oh my gosh, it's so heartwarming. And I think it's sometimes what's missing for our newer generations. We don't always have that. There's some of that with our multi-generational households and things, but gosh, just to sit at the feet of our elders and hear from them, I absolutely appreciate that. Thank you. I also would love for Elena to kind of respond to that same one, but in your own way.
Yeah, I really appreciate how Joe shared that. That was really good. But just to kind of like paying off what she had said, I think it's super important to, I obviously I'm a lot younger and I haven't learned this like as long ago, but just now kind of maturing, just to be super intentional with everybody you meet. Like, cause it could be just that one random person, like you're like, you always see them in class. For me, it's like in class or in the workplace, and it's like, you never really know, like each person has their own individual life story, and I just think that's crazy, like, because I feel like we can get so caught up in what's happening in our own lives, and for me, that's a struggle to be like, oh, go outside of yourself to just be intentional about serving one another. I think that's super important, and if everybody had that intentionality about them, I think that's where it starts kind of, and again, like this is gonna sound corny, but like to like actually change the world, like it would be a step-by-step process like that. Seeking first, listening. I think it's important to be able to listen first instead of like just thinking about, oh, what am I gonna say, to like kind of one-up them in that sense. And I feel like there's always those times where you do that. But just trying to slow yourself down, like Joe was saying, and be able to listen to somebody is really, I think, crucial. And that I feel like that is what would sustain excellence across all cultures, all races. I don't think there needs to be like a divide of like any type of divide for me personally, and I think just being intentional, like I said, about what somebody else may be facing and being able to be that person. Because again, bringing my faith into it, I know that God uses people in other people's lives, and just you could be that one person, like non-believer or believer, you still could be that one person that impacts their life and changes it in the moment. And I know that just from my personal experience, I wouldn't even be like living in my faith or believing in Jesus if it wasn't for the people before that who had influenced me. My parents, they were so consistent with just showing up in my life and being the people to listen to me first. And it can be the smallest things, like as I was saying, like just showing up for that person or being there and encouraging them, showing up to games, showing up to school events. And those things actually add up. And like looking back at my, I guess, childhood now, even though that's probably like 5 years ago, my childhood, like just to see how intentional they were with me not even being appreciative of it. I was just like, ugh, whatever. I just need to get to the next McDonald's so I can, whatever it was. Just to see how they were so consistent in my life, even when I didn't even care. And I think that ties into even just they were pursuing me even when I wasn't pursuing them. And I feel like we need to do that to everybody and bringing my faith into it, because it's hard for me to answer these questions. But like Jesus pursued me even when I wasn't pursuing him. So like, I don't think I think that's something to be super intentional about. Yeah.
Yes,
Mind if I
please.
throw in on
Yep.
there? Awesome.
Thank you.
You guys said some really amazing things in regards to that question, how we sustain our excellence. And I think one of the biggest things as far as also sustaining excellence is being open or having an open mindset that everyone is entitled to their own ideas and opinions. And like you said earlier, just because someone says something about you does not define your identity and who you are. So if we don't feed into that negative energy, it cancels it out, and then it gives us a chance to now create more positive energy to help further that excellence and help pass it on in a positive note instead of letting somebody else's down moment drag you down.
Powerful, thank you. I loved one of the statements I heard, Elena, is when talking about your parents, that they were the people that listened to you first. And just thinking of Jay, with your story of being adopted, like we have different maybe family structures, but I don't know, something about that just like struck me of like, who was the person that listened to you first? Even if it wasn't necessarily feeling heard at home, like Chadri, we were talking about going and visiting with Austin and Casey, and like, what did that look like? That sometimes it isn't the people closest to us, but just the first time you felt heard. And how do we, I think not just as Black people, but in general, as humans, how do we make time and energy and space to just listen to someone, to hear their story? That I think that does start to break down some of those divides. It does open up the doors for us to learn more about one another. And I think race is definitely a piece that will always show up, culture, some of our differences, but I think it just gets back to the humanity. How do we be human with one another, take care of one another, look out for each other? But I feel like it starts with that, like, who is listening? How can I just make space to listen? So I appreciate all that was just said. Thank you. And Chadri, I would also love to hear what keeps you grounded in your awesome excellence.
My what keeps me grounded is more like the four who's. My kids, they are 9, 8, 6, and 4. They keep me grounded because it's actually like you said earlier, right? You never know who's watching.
Yeah.
And I get to see myself in all four of them. Sometimes I see the good, and then sometimes I see the bad. Where I'm like, hey, tell your sister to go brush her teeth. And my oldest is like, you need to go brush your teeth. I'm like, where did you learn to yell like that? Oh, that's right. I told y'all to go to bed because I was yelling. But yeah, so my kids, and then also being able to work with the youth, whether that's through track and field or over at the high school, that's what keeps me grounded in our excellence, because the whole phrase, you know, the youth are the future of tomorrow is really, really true, right? Like, here's our future right here.
Yes.
They're right there. And it's like, it comes like that. So the things that we do now, whether it's job related or even how we communicate with our neighbors, that's going to help build them up, which is then either going to make or break the type of communities that we want for them to grow up in. And that's what keeps me grounded.
Love it. Thank you. Miss Jo, what about you?
What keeps me grounded?
Yes.
Really want me to tell you that?
I think I do.
You know, it is so wonderful to be in an atmosphere where the people are so, I mean, I've been to schools. I've been to a lot of schools. And this school, and this campus, and these people in this community keeps me grounded. Because I can go to the grocery store. I have to get out of town to go to the grocery store. Because if I don't, I'll be in there for 2 hours, and all I needed was a carton of milk. So what keeps us grounded is each other. I think that you guys keep me grounded, because I'm telling you, I just look at you and go, wow, what would I have been doing at 18 or 19? Probably something that I didn't want to talk about. But it is what keeps us grounded, each other, and we learn from each other. We learn to support each other. We see things that are going on out in the community sometimes, and I don't know these people, but I might walk over and say, you know, he just picked up that thing and put it in his mouth, and they say, oh no! She grabs him, takes it out. That's watching out for one another. That's supporting one another. That's what keeps me grounded. I know that I'm in a safe place when I have people. There's Audrey. I thought he was a girl. And you've been at the school for a long time. So have I. And we have never run into one another because we are running in different circles. We stop for a moment and say hello to one another. Now I'll never forget. There's Shar, and then there's Dre, like Andrew. So I know now what that is. Jay, the same thing. You know, I met Jay at a chamber affair. I had no idea that you were the chair, the CEO, or the board. But we just have to stop sometimes and take a look and take a listen and learn from each other. These two young ladies, I was at a game, and I saw them shoot ball like I'd never seen women shoot ball. They were shooting threes from the half court. It was incredible. And I just knew that I had to get to know them. And I hadn't had any idea that you guys were coming today. But it has really been a joy. But we learn to support one another. And that's how we're going to grow this community. That's how we're going to all be better people. Because it is who we are. We are the world. As Lionel and his team would say, we are the world. We are the people. So I really do appreciate you asking me that question, because I'll be like my dad, who was a preacher, but not necessarily a preacher, but he thought he was. Talk all day. But thank you so much.
You are feeding us wisdom, and I was going to say, Elena and May, if she said y'all were shooting three throws from the half court, go with it. You're arguing, go with it. It sounds good.
Yes.
This is such a wonderful, enriching conversation, and I just want to share, for me personally, I think what keeps me grounded, and it's beautiful that there's this theme of it isn't so much the what, but the who. I don't know if my mom is actually watching this, but she'll probably play it back because that is how she does. Whatever we're doing, she wants to be involved. Here's a shocker. I'm 48. I know people didn't.
You're kidding.
I know. Thank you. Yes, all the air went out of the room. And so as I'm watching my mom mature and just dealing with the realities of life that our parents are getting older and all of the things as I am as well, I'm so grateful that she still talks to me like I'm 10. So, you know, the virtual spanking, like when, girl, if you don't get it together, like you've got this, you could do this, that is one of the things that, and even when I feel like I'm a little bit on myself and I'm so wonderful, she will be the one to remind me, you're not great alone. And so I've just always appreciated that, and I also have beautiful women in my life. A couple of them are here too that I get to process life with and think about things, but when it feels overwhelming, when I feel like I'm not gonna be able to do this anymore, or again, just feel like I am just so much into myself, I'm so wonderful, like we are there for each other. But my mother has definitely been that grounding person for me. And I just appreciate all of the stories, but I love that it kept coming back to like the who's in our life, not so much the what. And that just led me to one more thought before we kind of move into our last conversation here, is just that I think sometimes we bring in tradition that we may not even be familiar with. So when I was listening, Elena and May, when you all were talking about like not necessarily dealing with some of the adversity that you've heard other Black women or Black people go through, but there's still often this tradition, this cultural thing that just lives inside of us that was like birthed through generation and generation. And as you all were talking about that community, that is such a Black, African-American part of our story of when we go somewhere new, where's the community? Who's my people? Who can I connect with? And always the openness of, and I want to share that with someone else. And I think that's what I've loved so much about growing up, very much in a Black household, although my father is white and I would spend time at his family's house as well. It's the community that is at home. It's the community in the neighborhood. I've shared the story a couple times, but one of the things that I realized with my equity journey being, and I don't think I even said where I work, but being an equity and inclusion manager, before there was language to talk about what equity and inclusion even is, I remember my mom driving me and my older sister to school and a little girl walking in the winter with no coat on. And the next day, we pulled up on this little girl with a bag that had a coat in it, and my mom got out and said, take this to your parents, and that was it. And she dropped us off on school, and we went on about our way, but there was no note of who left it. There was no big show about, you know, I want to make sure I get recognition. But the girl looked cold, and my mom was like, I can't see someone in need and not do something about it. And it wasn't always that we had so much, but whatever we had, she was willing to share it. And so that was how I saw community, how I saw equity and inclusion, even when we weren't calling it that. And so it has definitely shaped my journey in life. But again, the person that I get to call and be like, can you just give me a reality check? So I'm appreciative for her still being in my life, for her still being around. And then as we kind of wrap up our conversation here, I would like for us to explore, and this is for all of us, anyone who wants to share, how do we move from thinking about some of those individual achievements? Because I think as a Black community, like we are so community-minded, we want to help someone else, but we still got to take care of ourselves. There's still our individual goals and accomplishments, and so we've talked about some of that. How do we move from that to building this ecosystem of excellence, so a community of excellence among us? And I think we've kind of talked about it, but if there's anything that folks want to add in, I won't call on you specifically, but if anyone hasn't talked in a little bit, wants to go.
Yeah, Jay.
The homies.
Yes,
So this is where the conversation gets powerful. Individual excellence is admirable, but the ecosystem of excellence is transformable. So I think first, you need access. You got to create structured pathways, internships, mentor programs, board opportunities, leadership development pipelines. And my current role, I focus on building partnerships that intentionally widen the circle of opportunity for others. Excellence cannot thrive in isolation. The second thing you need is accountability. Systems must measure equity and outcomes. It's not enough to just celebrate diversity. We must evaluate hiring pipelines, promotion rates, vendor inclusion, and capital access. Excellence becomes sustainable when it's embedded in a policy that has performance metrics. Third is advocacy. So those of us who have platforms, we got to use them. That means recommending others for opportunities, sponsoring talent in rooms they're not normally in, and challenging narratives that limit potential. If we want an ecosystem of excellence, we must move from how did I succeed to how do we build structures where success becomes predictive for others. That shift from personal success to collective architect, that's where the legacy lives. And I see that, today we're talking about Black excellence as leadership that opens doors. But when you get to ecosystem, that's when the doors are left open. So that's what I think.
Awesome. Thank you.
Should I do that?
Yes, I think we should just do it down the row. Thank you, Jay.
All right, I guess we just go Soul Train line style.
Yes, hey. Don't get Casey started.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I think the way we move from individual achievements to building this ecosystem of excellence is, for one, like Joe just said, everything, but it's consistency. We have to show up day in and day out, not just for ourselves, but for one another. We can't just go back to the community, visit the kids, read a few books, and then leave and check off that box and think we did our part. It's a grind. Progress takes time, like you said earlier. Only other thing I have to help build our ecosystems of excellence is to stop focusing on each other's negatives and start promoting each other's positives. Because every single day, everybody in this room, everybody in this community brings something good to the community. But the one time somebody slips up, that's where all our attention goes. And if we could shift our mindset, I think we can start having better outcomes.
You guys can take it. Yeah.
Sure. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that was really great what both of you guys said. I think, it's about consistency. Like, that's a huge part of it, I'd say. And just being able to, kind of what I was saying earlier, to serve one another in what we are in. Like, it's just crazy. Like, you're a CEO, you're influencing the youth, you're in track coach, airlines. I play basketball, we're in the basketball scene. So it's like, there's so many different ways you could impact one another in so many different people groups, like that I would not be able to be a CEO probably. That's just like, maybe, but not, like the managing and all that stuff, that's maybe not for me. But, or like being on the go in the air all the time, like, I don't know. But I'm in the basketball scene already, so it's like, what can I do daily to like influence people in, like you were saying, in a positive way? That's just like loving each other first, serving one another, and because I believe like love is an action. It's not just saying like, love you, bye, like, which is good too, but just showing that person love day in and day out, because like I was saying, you could be that only person to represent that to them, and whether or not they appreciate it in the moment, maybe it will be later on in their life when you plant that seed in their life. So I would say that. Yeah, it's hard to follow. Again, I'm at the end, so it's hard to follow all of this. But to go off of that, I would say it's an example, like you are an example, not just your words of what you're saying, and just being influence within the community you're in. Like we're in basketball right now, we're at Clackamas or whatever it is. Just being an influence there, just doing the small things. It doesn't have to be this humongous gesture like I bought you guys the entire whatever, you know. But like just asking how someone's day is, like every day. It's not that hard, and actually listening and like responding with interest. I feel like that's a huge thing, and like, cause usually when people ask how your day is, it's just like they're just waiting for like the good, and then like you just move on. So I feel like it's important to actually show interest in what others are going through, because that's their life, just like it's your life, and you would want to tell about your life. So yeah.
Are you passing, Mr. Joe, or did you?
Well, I like what Jay said.
Yeah,
And excellence is about your individual,
yeah.
but to change the world, you have to take this ecosystem and move it to the whole community, and the door has to remain open. You can't just let it creep open. You run in, you do what you have to do, and then you run out. It has to remain open. And I think that all of us here are experiencing life in a different manner than our forefathers, our parents did. Because my mom and my dad didn't do that. They didn't have a chance to do that. They were so busy working. And so I think what we need to do is continue to do the things that we are doing, being open, being sharing, and being working with one another, and being really, like you said, you see somebody, say hi, how you doing, and be able to listen to them for a minute. I mean, you can do that for a minute. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes, but you can do it for a minute. But you say, how you doing? Zip. You didn't really want to know how I was doing.
Right.
So I would say that that's the way that we're going to move the system forward. And I do appreciate the time that we've had to share one another. I've learned a lot today.
Yes.
My little pages are getting kind of warped over here, so but it's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you too.
Thank you, and I want to continue that spirit of gratitude that I appreciate you all so much. I just, as we close this up, and I know we're going to do some audience Q&A, I had a couple thoughts to close this, and I'll pass it on. One of the things, I was listening to Elena and May, and there's a thing that I'm working on, and Ms. Jo kind of talked about it too. I do a lot of like, I think, maybe, somebody over here is always helping me with like, so I think that's one thing with Black excellence, if we're thinking of that, like how do we transform that, like, well, I think I kind of know something, to how Ms. Jo said, no, I'm standing firm, like here's the proof, I know what I'm talking about. I think that was one piece, and then it was reminding me, I had this little journal that I was trying to write my notes in, have not looked at this thing in forever, but it has one of my favorite poems. And I just wanted to read a quick little piece of that, that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? And so thinking of what the point of this whole Black Excellence event was, just reminding us that we're celebrating the practice of progress, the power of perseverance, the beauty of uplifting one another in our pursuit of everyday excellence. And I want to close with a quote from Ms. Jo. I love what I am and who I've become, and that is Black excellence.
Boy, talk about pressure. It's hard for me to come up here after all of this excellence. Thank you so much, but we're not done with you quite yet. We want to give an opportunity to give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions or even offer any commendations that you might have experienced in this place. Hey, I'm seeing people. I'm like excited. I just turned in the corner. If you wanted to offer any commendations to the panel or to this community, but we want to offer the mic up to some folks. Oh, this one.
This might be a silly question, or it might be a challenging question. It is, okay. But what are you studying? What's your major?
Right now we're just general studies, or I am. Yeah. Well, I'll let her say. But I was leaning towards more like the health field, but that takes. I was leaning towards that. It just takes a lot of commitment. So, but it's interesting to me. So, yeah.
Well, it looks like you have a community of people here that would be willing to help
Yeah.
uplift you if that's the commitment you decide to make.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not. I mean, kind of. I want to be a teacher, maybe health PE. Yeah.
We got you.
Yes, no, yeah, thanks for asking.
All right, we're going to take another question in the room or a commendation in the room, and then we're going to check in online to see what questions folks have had.
Okay, so I'm going to share one question from the chat. And the question was kind of an observation that y'all have sort of harnessed the power of yet. Like, I'm not yet there, I'm not yet able to do these things. And folks wanted to know if you had any thoughts around how you got into that space of being able to understand the ability of the word yet and be able to utilize that space.
Well, I'm old, so for me, it's different, right? And she's like, "Oh, I'm 48. I can't do that." But so I believe, I learned at a young age that, there's nothing to it but to do it. Like, if someone says you're never going to walk or talk, or you're intellectually disabled, and then you work through things. At that point, I'm not afraid of anything. I wrestled from 5 through college. I was on the Olympic ladder, and when you go to a tournament and there's 32 mats, and you're out there going into 150 Columbia at Oregon, and you're just the only black kid in the room, who cares? I'm going to sit in the front row and take notes. So I think the question is probably not for me, because I'm old, but that's when I was in your position, when I was 19, I felt the same way. Like, I felt I'm going to compete and I'm going to win, and I'm not going to apologize about it.
Can I share an answer to that too? I think I was just having a conversation with a couple of my kiddos. If you have nothing else to learn or work on, you're dead.
That's right.
And I will say that's physically or like spiritually, again, that internal part. If there is no growth happening, you're stagnant. You're just sitting still, and like something is off. And so I think there's the place of like, I will always be in this, not quite yet. I haven't fully fulfilled the thing that I was put here to do. I will always be striving towards that as long as I am living and breathing and doing the work that I feel called and purposed to do. And so I think there's a blessing in the yet that just keeps us forever moving towards the greater thing that we were called to do. So yeah, that's where I'm at today, is like, I still got more learning to do, more growth to do.
That's true.
Going off I like that, using the power of yet. Because like you said, you can get to the top of that mountain and think that you've climbed and seen the most spectacular view, and then all of a sudden you notice there's another mountain even higher. So no, you are yet to see the most spectacular view. And that's the way we have to live life. If we tell ourselves that we can't do something, or the naysayers are saying that, I'm a firm believer of don't follow the masses, because a lot of times the M is silent. Don't tell me that I can't do something just because I haven't done it yet, right? You may not believe in me, but again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Like, I believe in myself, and so I am yet to do it. I guess I'm in the middle of the pack here, like, to talk about our ages and whatnot. I am 35 years old, 4 kids. I have been fighting for becoming a firefighter for the last 2 years. I am yet to do it, but it doesn't mean that I can't do it. And I won't let somebody else tell me what I can't do.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not going to tell you my age, but but when you talk about yet, there's something that I have always wanted to do in all of my travels, and I tell my husband that every day, and he keeps telling me, "You are crazy." I want to go to Antarctica, and I so happened I had no idea the book came to the house from the what is it, National Geographic, Antarctica on the front of it. Now I didn't order this book, so it tells me that I have to prep to go. So, Doc, it's 21 days, so I will miss a meeting. But when people tell you that you can't do something, that's my urgency to go. And I don't care how old or how young you are, you get your brains together and do it. If you feel like it's something that you want to do it. There is a way, if there is a will, and you can get it done.
That's really good. I would say kind of like a mixture of what everybody has said. Just being able to find contentment in where you are in life is like, that's really comforting. Like, yeah, you're never gonna achieve like every single thing in life. And like you were saying, if you've achieved everything, I don't know how, because I don't think anybody has. So just being able to, yeah, like you said again, like find the blessing in the not yet, because I feel like when you feel like you've achieved everything, it's like, you know, what else do I got to do? Like, I'm just gonna sit here. But just being able to, for me, I'm in certain seasons of life, so I can be dependent on God. And I know that's not for everybody, but for me in my life, that's kind of where I've found comfort in that. Being able to know I can't do it all on my own. And I know I'm not gonna be able to on my own, but I know eventually I'll be right where I need to be. And I feel like right now, like I'm right where I need to be, because, yeah, just being able to find connection. I mean, they said it all. I mean, we're not gonna be perfect until, for me, what I believe, I'm not gonna be perfect. I'm not gonna have everything that I want to get done until I'm in heaven. Like, that's complete rest. So for now, being on this world, like, we're constantly doing things, striving, and it can get exhausting. So I think it's important to find contentment for where you're at, and like know where you're at is for a reason, but also to not be like complacent, I guess. Being, you know, just being okay with like, well, I did that wrong, so it's just like whatever. But you know, like trying to grow from your mistakes, and which we all make, but also not beating yourself up about it so much that you just stay in the same place.
All right, we just want to double check back in with the audience. Yes. We need the trumpet. Yes. Thank you so much. I just wanted to thank the panelists for all that you shared. I learned so much. I mean, you guys were dropping some truth bombs, like mic drops, but you couldn't leave the podium, obviously. I have two questions. I'll start with the first one, which is just the context of this year, 2026. And where are you most excited in seeing Black excellence show up this year? Which spaces are you like, yeah, that guy's doing it, you know, that girl's doing it, you know, exemplifying good Black excellence out there that we could be able to follow? That's the first question, kind of marinate on that. And then the second question is really thinking about how we could do better as people of color, and being able to be better in our excellence, so that we are unified. We talk about an ecosystem of excellence, right? And having a unification be a foundation of that.
where do you believe we as Black people can do better in our society now and into the future so that we have more of that excellence show forth?
Do y'all need me to, I think it was, where are you seeing excellence happening and what can we do better to support?
I'll jump on it before someone does. I'll go backwards. So first, I believe, similar to what we kind of talked about, the ecosystems, I believe we can improve by building a community, by showing other people the way, that mentorship, mentee aspect. A lot of folks that I know that have had some success, they kind of, it appears that they forget how they got there, right? And someone was there to give them a hand or give them a book or give them a podcast so they could see what, so they can align systems and structures to be successful. So I think that's one thing that we could do better. In regard to where are we showing up, that's an interesting question because we live in the upside down now. So I would just say that in the nonprofit spaces right now in Oregon, with all the difficulties already, because Oregon is not the easiest place to run a business. It actually is like the 48th worst based on the taxes and the cat taxes and the luxury taxes, and that's a whole nother economic class. But because it is so difficult right now, and without the federal funds that are coming, those folks that are out, working with the homeless, those folks that are out working with the community, those folks that are out there right now are doing more with less than we have seen, and they're tired. That's the area that I see where in this community they need a hand, they need a hug, they need $1, right? They need that's the place where I believe we could come alongside and support, those leaders as well as the community better.
Can I respond to the what can we do better part of it? Stop being so judgmental of each other and feeling like we are constantly in competition with each other. If we collectively as the Black community could embrace one another, support one another, celebrate one another, I think we then move forward. How do we do that in community, in partnership with folks that are not Black? And I always say, my mom told us there's some family business, and it doesn't go outside this house. What we talk about here, we talk about here, and I think there's some conversations that maybe we have amongst ourselves of how do we get better being in community, supporting one another, that then we can open up those conversations outside of that.
Okay. Thank you all. My name's Tori Blackwell, Dr. Blackwell.
Hey.
Okay. Now you're throwing me off here. I'm getting so scared. I don't know what to do. And I probably should move into frame there we go. So Dr. Blackwell, I got to moderate over here on the side. Going back to the very beginning when you were like songs that were floating through people's heads, I immediately went to Etta James at Last.
Ooh, yes.
Because for me, there are 3 or 4 events on this college campus that are like the things that I'm like, yay, we are doing this. And so I'm always like, at last. My friends have come along.
Yes.
And all their wonderful travels is like listening to a song, right? Like that's immediately pops into my head, so I wanted to start with that. I get the
Tori,
get the
you're
chance
out of
to.
frame. Will you move? There you go.
Okay, hopefully I'm back in frame. I don't want to block them.
That's all right.
So I get to kind of wrap things up a little bit and kind of share thoughts that I've been hearing. The biggest thing that I have heard over and over and over again is just humanizing each other. like seeing each other as humans. And one of the things after we have these talks, there's always the like, what can I do as an individual to go out and address all those things I heard in that session or help all these people? Learn how to be a human to another person. Like it's the language and the atmosphere that we live in is just so dehumanizing. And it just gets so easy to pull up your phone, and I bet you scroll for 5 minutes and somebody has called somebody else out their name and treated them like an animal. And if we can't get to a spot where we can at least see each other as humans, how are we ever going to appreciate their excellence? So, if there's one thing you can do, first, think about how you can do that better. And then the second thing, and I think that's one of the reasons that I love being at a community college, is because of the space we occupy is in seeing people as they develop their excellence and figuring out how to lift up their excellence. So if you're in a space where you can do that, please do. Like not everybody realizes that they have that capacity for being excellent. Sometimes they need to be reminded, or they need to be told, or they just need to be supported in that process. So if you have the capacity to do that, please do. If you have a friend that couldn't make it, and they're also like, what can we do? What can we do? Tell them to watch this video, because this is all recorded, and fast forward 50 minutes in to all the things you could be doing around increasing pipelines, keeping doors open, asking your business what their hiring practices look like. All those things. Gave you a wonderful blueprint, and if you run to somebody that's like, I ain't got time for a whole hour, well, tell them they probably got 5 minutes. That's right. Fast forward to that. And we all play a role in how those institutions work. So when you get the chance to say, hey, I don't know if I feel good about how we did this. Is there another way we can do this? Like, find it within yourself to raise up your own excellence and step into that space and just ask the question. Because that's how we make our communities better, how we make our communities stronger. I mean, I know, yes, there are always conversations that people need to have within community. And again, part of that is also seeing everybody within your community as humans and giving them all the grace that they need to be able to feel comfortable having that conversation. But we got to be able to do that as a community. Yeah. And right now we have so many communities that are hurting, so many communities that are just looking for that hug, that are not going to have the support that they used to have. That's going to rely on all of us to do that, right? So if we want the world to change, like my big thing is I want these two to be willing to come back here and do this panel when they're down that side of the age spectrum. Yes. Right? Yes. Like we have to. I didn't put your age out there. Don't. Hey. Right? But like that's the point. That's how we get that generational knowledge sharing that Joe's been talking about. Absolutely. We have to be in a space where folks not only grow up here because they were forced to grow up here, they love growing up here. Yeah. And then they come back here, or they still support what we're doing here. That is what we need to see as a community if you want to make things better. So if you're looking for a way to make things better and what you could do next, there you go. Yeah. I'm going to hand it off to Casey.
Thank you, Tori. All right. As you can see, we'd like to thank our sponsors very quickly, which is the Clackamas Community College Foundation, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, Clackamas County, and Respond to Racism all helped to sponsor today's events, and we're very grateful for them. I want to ask you all, if you need any information, contact Casey Layton at Clackamas Community College. It's my name, plus clackamas.edu. I want to thank our lovely panelists, and I want to give there's so many people who helped. I'm not going to name everyone, but there's one person in particular. They're going to come up here. They don't know who I'm saying yet. I know they're not going to want to, but they're gonna. Tina Francisco Evans is the Cougar LEAP office program coordinator, and literally this day would not have happened. She contacted all, you better get up here. We're so proud of all the work that she did, but we couldn't have done it without her. Really, she did a lot of the logistics to make this day happen. And again, thank you so much for being here. I think we should give our panelists one more round of applause. We're so grateful for you of giving us your time and your energy. Thank you. We'll see you next time.